people who live in this building, and I want to figure out a way to work with the board and the owners to deliver on this wish list. Bearing in mind that we do have to maintain budgets, and there are, certain infrastructure and maintenance functions that have to go on. People always tend to notice what is on the outsides of the walls, but never what's inside the walls. Electrical systems, plumbing systems, roofs, air conditioning systems. These things are the lifeblood of a building. Without them, the building is going to fall down. As far as the cosmetics, what color you paint the building, how you decorate it, well, that's very subjective, and that requires input from a lot of people. If 6 years from now, folks wanted to paint this building red, and that was the consensus of the homeowners, my job would be to figure out how to put together an intelligent contract and deliver the project on time, on schedule, and within budget. So these are the things that I've lived. These are the things that I know. These are things that I do instinctually. When I walk through the building, my head goes up, down, sideways, and I notice a lot of things that go on in this building. I have written and authored facilities manuals, which basically describe what people's roles and responsibilities are, what the processes and procedures are. I know how to look at how people perform, how to create metrics, how to interpret metrics, and how to determine how productive we are. I believe that there is always room to be more productive and do things more efficiently. And when we do things more efficiently, it allows us to get a bigger bang for our buck, and also to bring in additional services that we might have thought that we might have had to pay money for. I work as a team. I don't view myself as a leader. I view myself as hopefully someone who's got some expertise in how to operate a building, how to manage budgets, how to create budgets. And this is what I would like to do collectively with the rest of the board and the ownership. I also believe that one of the ways you can also judge how effective a leader is in helping you to run your building is when issues occur. I've lived through 9/11, restoring thousands of seats for Goldman Sachs. I have brought buildings back from Hurricane Sandy. I last put my Equitable Tower back together after the building was hit by a helicopter and standpipes went off and the entire building was flooded. Most recently I pointed out issues with our chiller, with a gas leak in front of our building. I understand emergency procedures. I understand how to escalate, and I understand how to solve problems. So hopefully you'll find these qualities useful, and hopefully you'll consider me on Tuesday. And I'm going to root for Buffalo. I don't know about the rest of you because they're an underdog, but I thank you for your time.
Okay, I thank you for your time. I'm trying to figure out why I don't have the hand raise feature, but that's okay because I have the chat feature. So I'm going to open it up for questions. You can ask all the candidates. You can select one. I guess the best way to do it is to just, if you can, I guess text me on this chat area and tell me you want to speak. Alan, you think that's the best way? How do you usually do it?
Yeah, so Michelle, if you go down to the bottom of your screen, if you're kind of moving the cursor.
I have all those things.
Over at reactions, if you click reactions.
There's raise hand. Oh, okay.
And you can hit raise hand. There you go. See?
Hey, okay, well, I guess
it's almost like I understand this technology stuff, but
yeah, I didn't know that's where it's at. I thought it was over by security. Okay,
that's where it is.
I have to look and see who's raising their hand now. Correcto.
No.
I have somebody whose iPhone. I'm gonna let them and ask them.
I think that's Patty there, isn't it?
Patty.
Patty, is that you?
Yes.
Go ahead.
Okay. My daughter's gonna teach me how to name myself.
That's okay. You're fine for now.
She did it for me at the last meeting, but I haven't learned myself.
Okay.
My question is, about what we were talking about at the last board meeting about flooring. I'm interested in knowing what kind of conversations were had with the owner and the renters before they were fined twice. And now it looks like the board would like to move towards having them replace their flooring. So I'm interested in what's developed up to this point so that I know how the board is going to handle off future decisions.
Well, I don't know what, you know, I guess I can answer it from a participant, you know, if I were, I'll do it this way. If I were on the board with a situation like that, I would look at all angles. I don't think, I know that situation is not one, and it's, you know, I have to say it's something I know about, is not just, you know, a dragging chair or a you know, a whatever, you know, normal noise. It's not normal noise. So it's not, I don't think a decision would ever be made, and that would have to actually really be considered to just say anybody can say, you know, I have a little bit of noise upstairs, I want you to change your floor. But, you know, I'm just saying for me, and I think the way, I'm just going to use that example as what I would do collectively. I think all the board members, if I were on the board, would have to chime in, and I think there would have to be enough of a, the way it works is there would have to be enough of a, it's almost like a paper trail. As me being a manager in newsrooms, I've made paper trails for people that I've had to get rid of or have a talking to. So it's not like you make these decisions very quickly. For me, I would, you know, really, like I said, look at all sides of that, make a paper trail and see exactly what the problem is. I mean, a nuisance is a nuisance is a nuisance. It's disturbing. If anything disturbs, it could be playing a trombone all day, or they can be, you know, walking all night. I mean, if the nuisance is a nuisance is a nuisance. That's what our condo docs say, and I go by what our documents say and what statutes say, because I do a lot of that in my job. I do kind of have to look at legal briefs. I have to look at arrest forms. So I would look at the condo docs. The condo docs say that, you know, that something is interfering with the quiet enjoyment of someone's you know, abode. That's against our condo docs. It's also against statute. It's also against Florida statute. You know, another person's domain is not supposed to interfere with another owner's domain. I mean, if it's a constant interference, then I think it's in, as a board member, I would speak to other board members and I would say, if it's a constant and consistent interference and it's not just somebody whining and complaining that, you know, there's little, you know, somebody's wearing heels or something, then that's all I can say about it. I'm just going to take that from a board, from how I mean, that's how I would handle any complaint that came to me. I mean, I
would you feel, sorry to interrupt, but would you speak to the owner and say, perhaps you can tell your renters they must wear slippers or go barefoot. They must put cushion pads under the chair. I'm sure
all those conversations would be had before you decide to go to the next phase. You know, I mean, you'd have to have 5 or 6 conversations if the people, I mean, that's kind of what a violation in some respects is. I mean, if you have conversations 5 or 6 times with somebody who's smoking on their balcony and they continue to smoke on their balcony, then that's a nuisance, and then they're going to have to face consequences. I'm sure you're not just going to find somebody or tell somebody they need to do something differently because they, you know, one time they were noisy. I mean, I'm sure there's a lot of.
So this owner was spoken to and was asked to tell his renters to either wear slippers or go barefoot, put pads on the bottom of their chairs, maybe get an aerial rug. And this owner refused, and the renters refused to comply.
I would say that's
Michelle.
That's okay.
Can I give a little background to Patty about this? Okay. This has been going on for quite a while, and the background is that the young man who owns the unit is never here. His parents evidently live in the area, so they kind of oversee things. I think he's in Texas or something. And it was bought, you know, just as an investment. And I don't think they really care. You know, they collect their rent and they're not, you know, directly involved. And the owner below them has been living with this for a couple of years and trying to very nicely, you know, improve the situation. And it hasn't happened. They're just not willing. So I think, you know, that we have determined we have to go after it as a nuisance case. And that's
so was the warning given first? And then I know there were at least $100 fine, and I think at least a second $100 fine. And then are you next going to insist that they change their flooring?
The first $100 fine did not go through because the parents showed up with a forged piece of paper, you know, showing that they had been grandfathered, and it was not legitimate at all. So this is in response to that. And we'll see where it goes.
Okay,
we're just trying to.
I want to keep this not as an owners meeting, but I think that was a good perspective to just do and I see Andrew's hand to just. I think we could turn. I tried to turn that into what would you do if you were faced with that? But I can say that anybody that would be on a board or anybody that is on a board is not going to just willy-nilly. I mean, it's very hard. It has to go to a very. I mean, I know this for a fact, and I know how I would be. It has to go through quite a vetting process before you decide to take action against somebody. So that's where I stand. Anybody else want to chime in?
If you can't have a meeting of the minds, Patty, between the owner and the person below or the board, then your next option is litigation, is to go through the lawyers, and we do have lawyers, obviously, on the payroll. You know, there are nuisance laws, but my understanding is that the unit owners above who rent the unit may have bought this unit with this condition already pre-existing. I believe that that's what I heard during the meeting. I think that there, you know, is this intentional negligence that's being, you know, caused by the renter. It doesn't appear that they are intentionally taking out the roller skates and trying to make noise or dropping dishes, but it seems like it's an existing condition that went unresolved for many years. And I think this is why you have arbitration. This is why you bring in attorneys, because as much as we would like to see the owner fix the floor, the owner refuses, and apparently we can't force him. So I think that this is why we have attorneys.
Okay. Well, I'm going to move on to Andy because he's been so patient.
I think you corrected the problem, Michelle. Vinny Caruso called me and said he couldn't get on, and now I noticed that he is on.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. I don't have any raised hand. Let's go. Nobody has questions for us? Anybody?
Could I butt in here for 1 second?
Yeah.
The office needs the help of the residents of the building. I know we've had problems with a unit, 1708, and our lawyers are about to, or they're attempting to serve papers. We are trying to find the location of the owner. The owner's name is Genevieve Lavogner, and she was put into an assisted living facility, but apparently they moved her out and the rest of the family will not divulge this information. If anybody knows where she is, this is for, I would say it's for the good of the people who live around that apartment, that we find out where this lady is so we can probably serve her and hopefully get rid of the problem that's been existing here for a couple of years now. So if anybody knows where Genevieve Lavogner is, please just call the office on Monday and let them know. Thank you.
I wish Donna had come on because Donna got cut off in the last conversation, but I don't think she's here. And I don't think Joanne, I don't know, it doesn't look like you're here unless you're one of these unnamed. Millie, did you want to ask a question?
Yeah, Stu, is there any way to trace that lady on who's paying the maintenance? Find out what bank the checks are coming from?
Well, there's the problem. We're not getting the maintenance checks. They owe us a lot of money. We're attempting to foreclose. If we can't evict them, we're going to foreclose on them. But we're doing whatever we can to help the people out, because the people who live across the hall from them, above them, below them, these people just complain about these people day and night. And the lawyers have been working on this for months. They're ready to take the next step. But unless we can identify where the owner is, it's going to be moot.
I don't know where the owner is, but the daughter just moved back in 2 days ago.
Yeah, we're all of that.
She's been gone since her boyfriend jumped, and her daughter and her boyfriend have been in here smoking enough marijuana to get all of Jamaica high.
Exactly, which is exactly why we want them out of the building.
And so, yeah, but I just saw the daughter, the owner's daughter. She actually moved back in a couple of days ago.
We asked them where the mother is, and she refuses to share that with us.
I have a question in the chat, which I had covered up. I apologize. I had it covered up with participants. Can the candidates describe what they would like? There's an issue that a lot of people talk about here, and they feel like the security is a little bit wonky, and that could be opinion, conjecture, whatever it is. There's a concern about it. And the question is, can all candidates describe what they would like to see next with security?
Sure.
Well, I put my hand up. Can I go first?
Go ahead.
So I guess the way I read it was, what would they like to see next? Security, etc. Eleanor, nod your head if you're just looking to see what we think the next project or the next thing should be, or is it specifically with security?
You need to be unmuted.
She's got it.
Kind of like everything, like what's next in line. And I know that security is a big issue. Perfect. Yeah, that's good. That's the way I read it. So yeah, I think security is a big issue, definitely. I'm one of the guys that takes the pictures of doors that are propped open, like the contractor's door, all the time. We had a problem with the fact that the elevator from the basement to the first floor did not require a key. However, the garage door was stuck open for months. So yeah, that's a big issue for me. However, if you want to know what the next project is, I can't tell you exactly, because that's going to take some study and some discussion and some looking around and some prioritizing. And this is when I talk about a master plan. And I said this at the last candidates meeting, I'm not talking about a whiteboard with things written, I'm talking about a document that can be downloaded, a document that has a table of contents, a document that you can read and look and see that needs and wants are prioritized. And then there's a fiscal study involved as well, to where we can figure out, okay, how are we going to pay for these projects? What's the cost going to be? And to have it all laid out. I'll give Stu props that yes, a whiteboard is better than it used to be. However, I don't want to rule my, way of thinking by, well, it's better than it was. I want to see what's the best level that we can achieve for the building. And so the quick answer is I'm not sure, but I know the mold issue, I think, in the basement should be explored. We should find out exactly what it is, have it tested for sure, and know what the health risk is, because health is going to be over top of, say security and as far as gates and fencing and that sort of thing. So I think always we're going to prioritize health and safety at the top, which would include security, which is a matter of firing off multiple emails and trying to get the lock fixed from the elevator, from the basement up, which thankfully they did do that. The board did that. And I think that's great. And the other issue that I think is, as we're doing projects, we should try to keep it in mind, like the back glass area. If we're going to replace that, what's the ability to increase accessibility for everybody there? We all know that's a heavy door and it's tough. It's not that much more. It is more of a cost, and it has to be looked at for sure. And it has to make a decision based partially upon that. But what is the cost of having a handicap accessible door switch
you know, added in there to where you can hit it with the key fob and boom, the door opens up automatically. Because we have a lot of older folks in here, you know. I mean, obviously I'm one of the disabled people. Yeah, it's tough. It's just like the new service elevator. You know, we're all happy to see it, but when I see people get knocked over by that door, you know, there's problems that would have to be addressed, and I know they're being addressed. You know, I've discussed it with a couple different people on the board, and I know that is being, you know, being addressed, and I appreciate that. But
Alan, you mentioned something that just came to me, I guess yesterday, maybe from the office. I'm not there, as everybody knows, but it said something about the gate, and you couldn't come in the gate or go out the gate. There's a new gate at the pool.
The new pool gate.
I didn't understand that it works one way and not the other way. And
well, the new pool gate they put in because the fire marshal decided that we have to be able to egress pool area outside without the use of a key. So there's what they call a panic bar. You can just hit the bar and you can get out. And part of the reason for the new gate was so that somebody can't reach in through the gate and obviously open it, you know, that way.
So this wasn't pre-thought before the new gate was installed, but you can't go from the
we will be able. No, we will be able to. I'm not.
No, I'm talking about now.
Right now, you cannot enter from there because it's set up for a fob. When the fob system goes into work, you'll use your fob to enter the pool area from the beach.
There's no keyhole. There's no keyhole. That makes sense. But currently, if you come from the beach, you can go through the lobby.
Exactly. We're doing that temporarily until we get the fobs up and working, which hopefully will be within the next couple of weeks.
They didn't think about it earlier, I guess.
So if I can also respond to the first question for a minute too, regarding security. Eleanor, when I look at security, I look at two things. I look at physical security, and then I look at processes and procedures. Now, from a physical standpoint, we are putting up more cameras, which is wonderful. Lighting should be put in key areas. There are other subjects that have come up, such as limiting the number of entrances that you could drive into the building. Personally, I close the contractor door a couple of times a week. I asked if we could somehow shave the ground down or shave the door up so that people don't force that door open, then it rubs on the ground and stays there.
Richard, that was done this week, Richard.
But I can also tell you, thank you, that, you know, we have lots of contractors who come in and out of this building. I'm not aware of what processes exist for vetting these contractors, having them wear contractor badges in certain areas. Are they being escorted? I can also tell you, and I'm sure Mr. O'Connor would back me up as my two police officer brother-in-laws, is that the police department has consultants that they will send to your building to review and write reports for recommendations. So I think there are a lot of avenues to explore and a lot of expertise out there to help us get there.
Well, in 2013, we had BSO come to the building and do pretty much a full day, what they call CPTED, Crime Prevention Through Environmental Design assessment of the building. And that paperwork, it should still be on file.
The paperwork was enacted. Eleanor, it was you and I who went on the tour with BSO. He told us the location for all the cameras, which is where we installed all the cameras.
Excuse me, but I was, excuse me, let me finish, please.
I just want to fill you in on what you said was done, okay? And we also trimmed down the bushes, which is exactly it. So we have fulfilled everything that BSO has asked us to do or recommended to us.
Well, I want to make sure I keep this on candidates. I don't want it to turn into an owners.
Thank you.
Right.
Sorry. I mean, I just want to make that.
You know, the one thing about security is the building was never promised to be a high security building. It's a moderate security building, and I believe it is secure. I don't believe that we've had any break-ins. I don't think we've had any assaults in our building, maybe around the facility there. People walked at night. I heard there was a chain grabbing once, but that happens anyways, including Manhattan. So it's something we can't help. But we did beef up the security with the cameras. But the other thing you have to remember is there are a lot of seniors who live in this building who are on a fixed income. They're already telling us, yeah, we're paying too much. So if you want another security person, we can hire it. It's going to cost it. It's going to come out of your pockets. And that's the thing that we're trying to juggle. Being on the board is not just making the decision, but being on the board is also being fiscally responsible to the owners, that it makes it affordable, that they can stay here and they can live here. There's another major assessment that's right around the corner. We're mandated by law to install the sprinkler system. So that's why there was no assessment this year. There was nothing going on. We're paying off the current one because next year we know there's going to be another assessment. That's mandated. We have no choice except to comply, which other buildings have done already. So in doing security, I'll do whatever I can to make the building as secure as I can. Richard does it 3 times a week. I close that door 3 times a day. I'm the one who went over to George and I asked him to shave down the bottom so they can't prop it open. And what did they do? Contractor went and stuffed fabric in there so the door would stay open. I think it's really important for the owners of the building to take responsibility also for their contractors and to make sure that their contractors are abiding and respecting our building. They should not be taking it upon themselves to put paper or fabric underneath the door to prop a door open. There's a sign there that says this door must be closed at all times.
Eleanor, do you have more? Eleanor, anything else?
No, thank you very much.
Okay, I have questions, but I really don't want this to, I'm not going to have this turn into an owner's meeting. If you want to ask a question about something that what would a candidate do if they were on the board and how would they handle something, that's, I'm gonna really kind of keep the gavel on that. Joanna is able to get in, and Joanna, everybody had a forum to kind of say what they would do. They kind of gave their platform again. So if you would like to have your chance, the floor can be yours. You need to unmute. And I don't know which iPhone you are.
Hi, how are you?
Introduce yourself.
Anyway, hi, I'm Joanne Sophia, apartment 916. I think most everybody knows this by now. We had this forum before, so I'm just going to recap everything. I am in the building for the past 5 years, going on the 6th year now. I love the building. I love my apartment. I love the community we're in, and I'm looking forward to getting on the board if I'm elected and making some changes for the better. The community has been doing great things already, and I just want to run the platform of complete transparency, inviting people to be and their expertise to have groups and to have different committees, especially the finance committee, also other committees in the building, so we can all have our expertise and our knowledge to be given to everybody. And just complete transparency is my thing. I just want to see what the finances are and go on from there and make sure that major projects that we have to do get done in a timely manner, plan for the future, and make sure that our money is well spent and it would beautify our building and we just have it secure and a good, wonderful community to live in. That's my platform.
Okay, thank you. Much appreciated.
Thank you, Michelle.
Patty wants to double dip. So if anybody hasn't spoken and they would like to, please let me know right now, or I will give her her second opportunity. Okay, you're on, girl.
Okay, what I would like to know from the candidates that are running is how would you plan to bring back kindness to how the employees are treated and the owners, that they are not mocked and criticized, and how we can have more than 3 minutes to speak collectively at the end of our meetings, how we can bring back our last Tuesday of the month, 7 p.m. owners meetings. And I would just like us to be kinder, not be bullied, not be put down when we send an email, to be addressed by the last board meeting that resident was mocked and bullied, and her concern was not addressed. How would the candidates be able to improve our environment?
I'm glad that you mentioned that, because I was going to mention that in my little spiel. I have a friend that that is on the board of a large building in Miami Beach, and he's on the board. And I've talked to him about how I think the frustration boils over with people because they feel misinformed or uninformed, or rumors get around. I'm just going to put it out there personally. If I was elected to the board, I would have to consult with the other board members, but I think that the structure of a board meeting should be that people are allowed to speak after each agenda item. Otherwise, I've as an owner have not personally understood why I'm there. I've been in other buildings in New York City. I have this friend that's a condo owner in Miami Beach. What they do, and what I feel like is what I've always been used to, is the reason why you have a board meeting with owners present is so that maybe there's somebody that has some expertise. For instance, I'll just use myself as a for instance. If we were talking about internet, installing some kind of Wi-Fi in here, I would like to be an owner, you know, that was able to speak to the board if before they say that's already gone through. Like I have expertise in telecommunications. I mean, I've been doing it for a long time. So if there's something on the board agenda, the way I was always used to agendas was that, yes, owners could speak after every agenda item before it was voted on. Now the board could decide if they want to take your advice or not. There has been situations that I've been involved in where somebody's expertise, you know, Rich knows things. We have people in this building, like I said, I'm going to use myself as an example with telecommunications, that may make you decide as a board member to vote a different way or to table it for a while. I also think that a lot of our frustration boils over, and I'm going to say, I'm just going to say where I stand. And, you know, when I know I'm a good team player, I've been in sports, I've done different things, and I would be a team player with this, but I would like to see the way meetings I'm used to are is at the end, that isn't relegated to just agenda items, because that makes no sense. There's sometimes that I have questions about things that have like nothing to do. Like maybe I want to talk about pest control. Well, when do I get the chance to do that? That's what my confusion has been for a couple of years. So I'm just going to say, if I were on the board, I think the bullying thing comes a little bit out of, you know, we all kind of get, I'm going to speak for me. I get a little bit frustrated because I hear things through the grapevine, and then I'm like, well, I didn't know about that. I didn't know that we were, whatever we were doing. I didn't know that you could, I didn't even know till just now that you had to go through the pool front. I mean, I'm sure there was a letter sent out, but I should be able to ask that, I think, at the end of a board meeting. And there are, in the statute and in Robert's Rules and Condo Docs, it says that you can have 3 minutes to speak. Now, I've been in other situations where that 3 minute is that set is so that things don't go on forever, or it's also set for somebody who's kind of rambling on like I'm doing right now. So, but I'm just saying that my point is, I personally, as a board member, would like to have some ability to change that structure, that I'm not just spent, because, you know, 2 hours for me to spend in my workday at that meeting and not be able to have a say in anything. I don't, it's become an information system for me. It hasn't, sometimes I don't go but I have to go because I want to be informed, but I can't really make any changes. And, you know, I know that I did that a lot when we used to have them in the Parliament room. I would always make sure I got up at the end and I spoke, but I could only speak to what was on the agenda. And I think, you know, the last board meeting where we saw that somebody had a concern, the board brought something up, the person who wrote the situation that, you know, they were the ones that brought it up, and the person wanted to respond to it, and they were, you know, they weren't allowed to. So I think the bullying, quote unquote, is a different perspective. For me, it's not so much bullying, it's people getting kind of explosive and upset because I don't know what's going on. I know I've been guilty of it. I've gotten like, oh my gosh, nobody will listen to me. I don't, you know. So that's just what I'd like to say, that I would like to see that format changed, and I would like to see maybe the meetings done at night. because I think we'd have more participants, not, you know, like maybe a 7 o'clock. And I'd also like to see that we do stick to certain times so people don't have to look around and say, oh, it's this time or this time. I think it should be a set time. And I think that we should go back to having a full-on open owners meeting that you basically, and I think if you write and you ask that there was something on the agenda, you would like to have something placed on the agenda, which I have done personally. I haven't gotten a response. You can say no to me. You can say we're not going to add it, but I just don't, it's like crickets. I don't hear. So I think to answer your question, I think that the give and take, I think allowing people to speak more, I think would cut down on the frustration and that bristling that we see happening. So that's my long story longer of it.
Can I respond to that, Michelle?
Sure.
I recently went to a webinar hosted by Castle, and there were some attorneys there and ombudsman. And something came up about the structure of meetings. And since then, I have spoken to a couple of the people on the board that we needed to change that when an item is discussed before the board votes on it, it should be opened up for discussion. So I'm quite sure that will be changing with the next meetings. And I think we should have a process where other items can be brought up at the end. Maybe, you know, you don't want to get inundated in that because the meetings could go on for 4 and 5 hours. But I think there should be a process where maybe you know, 2 days before, because we need to do a 48-hour advance on the agenda. But if someone, you know, brings a note or sends an email to the office and signs up for it ahead of time, they could get it on the agenda. The other thing is you mentioned about switching meetings to the evening. I think perhaps we should poll the owners to see how many would like it in the evening, how many would like it to continue during the day.
Well, I also know that it's difficult when you have people, and I'm not saying they maybe will always be in the evening, because sometimes I know it's difficult when you're talking to contractors or you're talking to the pipeline.
Right.
He's not going to want to.
Right. I think we could.
I would also like to respond to this, please. I would also like to also respond, please.
Everybody, whoever. Alrighty. And I have a question. If we're going to stay on this topic, let's stay on this topic. But I have a question from.
Can I respond to
yes,
also
I just
the
want
question
to say
that
that. Yes, I just want to say we have another question after we're all done talking about this.
Great. So I just want to know, and that was a great question that was asked of us. Being a member of Parliament for 5 years now, and attending lots of board meetings in person, I was really disappointed, pretty much frustrated and disgusted at the way that we were all treated. The only reason I'm running now is because I didn't like the way the meetings were held. And 2 of the members who are currently serving were the people that bullied me through those meetings. One of the reasons I'm running for this board, and I'm going to speak frankly and truthfully, yes, they're saying now because they want to rerun 2 of the candidates who are already serving. They're rerunning, and now they're willing to make the changes. Why were these changes made while they're on the board? I'm coming on this board and running for this board because I want to put in structured times when people can be available, not a meeting on a Friday afternoon right before Labor Day, not a meeting at 10 in the morning where nobody can attend because people work. We have to decide a proper time like other buildings that I've been part of. I've owned many apartments, condos in not only different states, different cities in the United States, but around the world. And everybody was and is very respectful. You have an agenda, you're allowed to write your questions before you attend these meetings, and they already have a decision. So far in the Parliament, we found out that the decisions were already made. We showed up at these meetings. The board had already decided what they're going to do. Our opinions at the end didn't matter anyway because it was a done deal. And that's one of the reasons I'm running, because it shouldn't be a done deal. And 2 of the members who are presently right now, who just spoke, why didn't they do this sooner? One of the reasons I'm running for this board is to make these changes that these people did not make all these, for the 5 years I was there. Each time I got up and spoke for other women, we were put down, We were harassed and we were not given a chance. And if we didn't like what was talked about, we were told to move out because this is not the community for us. This is why I will no longer complain about the board. I'm going to be on the board. I want to be elected to the board so I can make the changes that we all want. And I think the people who served already. They did a wonderful job. It's a big building, but now it's time to go forward in our lives. It's the year 2021, and we have to go forward with younger people who are more able to take on the challenges of today. That's my opinion, and that's what I'm running for. Thank you.
So Michelle, may I address Patty's initial question about bullying?
Yes. Alan, is that okay? Because Alan's had his hand up for a while. You're okay? Okay, he's fine.
Thank you.
And Millie, we are going to get to your question. I just want to finish this round robin about this thing, okay?
So bullying on any level should never, ever, ever be tolerated. There's no place for it in this building. That being said, that does not mean that we cannot disagree. But when we disagree, we should disagree respectfully and offer intelligent opinions about why we disagree. The nature of this business, of running this building, of being on this board, is that of customer service. And customer service is a skill. When you're on the board, we have, as board members, 430 customers. And what we need to do is try to diffuse situations, solve problems. What I found with the previous management company, which is no longer here, thank goodness, is that they look to blame the owner first. Instead of looking to resolve the issue or to help the owner, they would more often than not try to find reasons why it was the owner's issue or the owner's responsibility. I can tell you I've never looked at an issue in all my years when someone came to me that particular way. We want to try to solve the problem for the owner first before we look to put the blame on the owner. And this is what I believe very strongly. I would also echo Lorraine's comments that moving meetings or how we, the frequency of how we conduct meetings should be up to the rest of us to decide. I believe we should do the equivalent of a survey, of a customer satisfaction survey, where we ask the 430 owners how we are doing in different categories and what they would like to see. I think we can get a lot more useful information of finding out what's important to the owners, not what our own particular personal agendas might be.
Yeah, well, I agree. I'm glad you reminded me of that, because I wouldn't just say we're having 7 o'clock meetings. I would poll people. I mean, most people might not want that. I'm not sure. So, so I have Alan and I have Stu's hand up. Who wants to? Alan, you want to go?
I'll go first.
Alan, you want to go?
I've been following Stuart at all these meetings, so let's not break with tradition now. I'm starting to get comfortable in this position. So one of the things I'd like to bring up when people talk about the meeting times, this is exactly why I started recording the meetings. Now, although there was a very strong pushback from the board and from the management company, I proved the law was in my side, in my favor, and I did start to record the meetings. I also post those to YouTube. Anybody who wants to request a link to any meeting, if they request it from me, I can get it to them. Another thing that I would like to see done is for the board to take over the recording of these meetings and being able to post them on our own website, so where they're in a portal and they can be more accessible, more easily accessible to people. And that way, managing our own website, if the management company changes again, we still own our own product. We don't have to re-upload everything again and say, oh, well, we can't find this and we can't find that. It took me 2 weeks to get a cable contract. And I think that was part of the reasoning, was the changeover. I think the biggest aspect for is what I touched on earlier, is communication's a two-way street. Communication isn't me as a board member telling everybody what happened or what's going to happen. Communication is me talking to those people and those people talking back to me. And I think all the board members should be open to that. And I think Rich touched on the customer service. I haven't heard that before, but I think it's such a fantastic idea. And I'm really glad he brought that up. I think that's a great idea. I was blown away when he said that. That's fantastic. Also, Robert's Rules gives us a procedural minimum. I was the mayor of a small town in Ohio. I've said this over and over, but there was a certain procedure. And one of the procedures we were held to was when a resolution was read, we had to have 3 readings of a resolution unless it was brought forward as an emergency. This is something I think that can be put into a Parliament House procedure as well. And again, I can't do it on my own. You know, if I'm one vote and I'm a concerned person that can make a strong case. So why not make 3 readings on an item before we actually act on it? Yes, at that point, I believe that it should be open for discussion as those readings progress throughout the meetings, that at those points that the owner should be able to have discussion. What the board's doing is totally okay. I mean, it's totally legal. It's waiting until the end and having them speak for a certain amount of time only on agenda items. Again, that's the minimum requirement. I think we should go beyond the minimum requirement and try to maximize what we can do for the people by listening and help them be able to communicate better with us, open that conduit both ways. And that's my story, and I'm sticking to that one.
Okay, Stuart has his hand up.
There are 432 units in the building, which means there are between 432 and 864 different opinions. You're not going to please everybody. It's impossible. One of the things is you elect a board. The board has to do their due diligence. They have to do their research. They have to find their information. It's not an easy thing to walk into a meeting and have somebody who just said, oh, why don't we just do this? After we've spent 48 to 64 hours researching, interviewing, and coming up with a solution. Now, Ms. Sophia is saying that she never had the opportunity. She's always had the opportunity, but what she's tried to do is, over the years, she's tried to take advantage of the board. All right. She wanted the building. She wanted you, every single one of you who are on this screen right now. She wanted you to pay for her high impact windows because she had a leak. She didn't want to let us try to fix the windows that she has like everybody else. She wanted us to pay for her high impact windows. Now,
Stuart, can you?
One second, let me just.
I don't want to get personal. I don't want people picking.
Well,
it's my meeting.
I cannot understand.
I understand that, but she opened the door. Stuart, she opened the door by bringing up the 2 incumbents.
I did not name you.
Stuart,
you're losing it.
But if you want to start with that, I'm not going to go down your slimy road. But if you want to start with that, you took the elevator illegally and used it and broke it.
We're not going to get it.
You want to start with that again?
I'm not going to.
Don't dare say that.
And Ms. Sophia, you want to talk about,
Michelle,
when the board had to discipline you for trying to use Airbnb?
You know something? That's all BS. You made it up. You bullied me the entire time.
We had the ads.
Okay, well, let's finish this, and then I'm going to move on. I have a question.
You need to reprimand him.
So if they want to take a shot at the board,
completely
you have to be willing to take it back.
Do this.
All I'm trying to do is play on a level field.
The association owns the windows. The windows were leaking.
Excuse me, I have the floor right
now. You bullied me from the first time.
I have the floor right now, Ms. Sophia. And
you don't have the floor now.
1 minute.
Mr. Smithers upgraded his to high impact windows, but he paid for it. And if we ever change the whole building over to high impact windows, he won't have to pay for it.
I didn't want this to turn into this.
He didn't ask the building to pay for his windows.
I'm in charge, and I'm going to cut that. I'm going to cut this discussion. I'm sorry.
We can't hear anything with people talking over people. It's unbelievable. The lack of respect there.
I had the floor, and she jumped in. So I'm sorry, people.
Okay, I don't.
You did a personal attack, and that is totally. This is why we need you.
Okay.
Because you have no respect.
Okay, I'm done with that. I'm gonna. Millie's been waiting for a long time to ask this question, and I don't want to. This is not what this was meant to do. So, I'm sorry. I'm taking the gavel.
Go ahead.
Well, you know what? I respectfully say this to you, Michelle.
Yes.
What he just did right now is bullying.
Okay.
The ultimate comment. I do not appreciate this, and if you take the gavel, that's wonderful. But you allowed him to once again bully me.
I tried to. I didn't allow anything. I tried to cut it off.
I'm just saying. He needs to stop this. This is why we need a new board.
I think,
you know, did it in front of everybody again.
I really wanted to contain this meeting to ask the candidates questions. We weren't supposed to go into owners' questions, board, what the board did before, what the board didn't. So I'm going to move on. If you want to, I just don't want to take up personal attacks either way. So I think you made your point that you didn't see it that way. So there we are. Millie wants to know, when will the candidates know who will be counting the vote with the 3 council employees? I don't know how to answer that. That's not,
Howard Mencher's handling all of that. None of the candidates know any of the information.
Okay.
So the comment was that we received was that the names would be announced just prior to the election vote because there was a concern that the candidates might try to reach out to the election participants.
So could you just tell me, if one of you candidates feel that those 3 people are not quite acceptable, when do you get a chance to voice your opinion?
Apparently we don't, Millie. I can tell you, you know, that I've had some dialogue on this subject. A number of us had. We expressed some concerns and that they've not really been addressed. I can tell you that all 7 candidates, according to statute, have the right to be present during the count or to designate someone in their stead to be there. That was not agreed to by Howard. I can also tell you that we requested that the boardroom, due to the small size and COVID, not be the venue. I do understand the Parliament room is presently being used for the pipe cleaning service, but there is a card room, there is a library.
Richard, there's no internet. There's no internet in those rooms. That's why it can't move.
We're gonna go for 5 more minutes and we're gonna end because this is
but you know what? This could have been set up very easily. We have very highly skilled technical people here that we could have reached out to. So I'm just answering Millie's question. Hopefully I've answered it appropriately. We did make some comments. We did raise some questions. That being said, we're now accepting you know, what is basically being forced on us.
Okay, well, isn't that I don't know what that is, but I want to move on because this is going off the tracks. And Andy Colonino, do you have a question for the candidates? And then I think I'm gonna.
Well, yes, I do. Yes, I do. My question is this: when is the last time anyone could vote with Becker ballot?
Last time. 5 o'clock Tuesday.
Tuesday, 5 o'clock, I think it was said.
So how does somebody? I just got a call from someone out of state, out of the country, in fact, that said that they wanted to register and vote. How do they go about that?
They missed the cutoff.
That's 2 separate questions, Andy. Yeah. If you are on the system, you have till 5 p.m. Tuesday to cast your vote. If you were a former user, you are on the Becker ballot system, but that being said, you may have to reset your login and password. If you've never used the system, then you are required to submit a consent form 72 hours before the election.
So Andy, all of the new people have filled out that consent form. So it depends when they came into the building. In the last 2 years,
this is an old timer that's not technologically advanced, and you know, that gets to be a problem. So I guess they're out of luck. That's what it gets down to. I don't know any other way they could vote. They want to vote, but they don't know. And COVID.
They could do a paper ballot and overnight it.
Well, look, the person I'm talking about happens to be in Canada. And with COVID, with the restrictions in Canada, very, very
problem. I had somebody that's in Albany that missed the cutoff and everything.
Well, it's a shame. It's a shame that this took place. I'm not blaming anyone. I'm just saying it's a shame. I don't know why. I don't know what the
yeah. If they had addressed it before,
they can actually fill out the form, print it out, fill it out, and take a photograph of it and email it to Becker or email it to Lorraine. That should be acceptable.
All right, well, let's, you know, if you have questions, email Howard about that. He's in charge and he's not here, so I don't want to stepping on
Yeah,
his.
exactly. I would definitely.
Okay. Yeah, Howard is in charge of the this election. Okay, so I think we've.
Michelle, did you hear what the comment that I made? Because I don't know if I was muted or not. Because the person who we're talking about, the person can actually email his vote to Howard or somebody else. Who's accepting them now.
I don't know.
According to what the attorney has said, you can email a proxy, but you can't email a ballot.
You can't email a ballot.
That's just the way the law is. I don't really know why, but that's what.
Well, there are exceptions being made due to COVID. Perhaps Howard is within his authority to make an exception. I would simply ask the question. It can't hurt.
I would too. Okay, I do have unlimited time here, so I want you to know that. Millie has her hand up.
Just will Castle inform us when they decide who the 3 candidates are to watch the votes? Are they going to send us something before the meeting, before we're a quorum, to tell us who's counting the votes?
I don't think Castle knows. I think Howard is the only one who knows.
Yeah, I mean, these are not ask the candidate. I'm sorry. These are like for the, you can, why don't you email the office, email Castle and ask them, and Howard. That's just my recommendation. Not to shut you down. We don't have the answer. So I apologize. So should we wrap it up, or what do you want to do? It's a consensus of this group, what you would like to do. Anybody? Bueller?
I have a 90-pound puppy that'd like to go outside. So yeah, okay. Anybody wants to send me any other questions?
190 pounds.
Email up in the 90, not 190. Yeah. Through my email up in the chat room.
Michelle.
Yes.
Thank you for inviting me. I appreciate the time, and I'm going to say good night to everybody, and good luck with Tuesday.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, everybody.
Thanks, Michelle.
Michelle, thank you very much.
Thank you all. Thank you,
Michelle. Thanks, everybody.
Bye, guys. Thanks for coming.
Good luck to all.
Thank you. Email us if you have any questions. Patty, what did you want? Because I don't want to cut you off. But you got to unmute. I'll pay attention to what you got to say. Go ahead. I'll keep you for a minute. I can't hear you. You're muted, honey.
Unmute.
Go ahead.
I am just so distressed. Like, I woke up at 2 this morning. Like, I'm just so upset.
Okay, well, we'll see what happens Tuesday. That's why we're doing this. You'll have, just make sure you vote who you want. And, I'm just playing therapist here. I play that on TV too, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, just, I know it's distressing and it's, it's time for a change, and that's what voting's about. That's what elections are about. You have your voice heard, and hopefully things will go the way, the people you want. And if it's me, great. If it's not, I wanted to say that. I didn't get to say it. If it's not me, I'm going to be as involved as if I were. So I'm not going anywhere. So I will still be a strong voice, I promise. So hold on a couple days. We'll see how this all turns out. I don't want you to be distressed.
And I'm worried that they won't get good volunteers to count the votes, because they're insisting on putting it in that small room with
I talked to Colleen, and I really do. I got to say, I really like our management company, and I really have a lot of faith in Colleen. So if that helps you, because I have had discussions with her, there's a few of us that have been concerned about things, and we write emails, and she's very responsive. She's been a property manager for a while, and we really do have a much better management company than we did before. So
I agree.
I feel like that has made me feel, not as a board, running for a board, just as an owner with the concerns that I've had, I feel much better. And she did address that when I asked that. And she told me she's going to be a watchdog and she's going to make sure it's fine. So,
but I'm just worried that the votes won't get counted.
Yeah, they are. Everything's good. I can guarantee you.
But are they going to keep it in that small room?
I don't know. Colleen needs to.
I'm extremely upset about that. Well, so maybe
write them an email, right? That's all you can do. Go down and talk to her. Ask for her personally. Go down and ask for her.
Because it's very COVID dangerous.
No. Okay, well, tell them your concerns. That's all I can say. George, did you want to talk to me? You have your hand up. Did you want to talk?
Yes, I have 2 condos there, and I just received the paperwork for one, and with everything that happened to me, I was sloppy. So I was planning to go in the office tomorrow morning to vote. Are they open? Is that okay? I'm gonna do a paper.
Yeah, go and talk to Colleen or Philippe. Those 2. That's who's helped me out. Colleen and Philippe.
Yeah.
Go down to the office and ask them, because Frances Gallo, who's my neighbor, she has the same issue. She's in Albany and she got her stuff late. And I just tell everybody, just honestly, I really have gone to that office so much more than I used to when it was first service. Forget about what I'm doing. I'm not running for election right now. I'm just telling you as an owner. And I've had other problems. Like I had a problem with my ceiling and I put in a work order and Gabe was here like the next day. I mean, when Bonnie was here, I would have been asking 6 or 7 or 8 times, so, yeah, I hope you have that experience. If you want to drop my name and tell Colleen that I said how wonderful she was and that you guys should go talk to her. I don't know if that'll help, but I have forged a pretty good relationship with her. And I like her. I mean, she has property management experience. I know Castle Group. I actually did a big story on the guy that owns it. He's a younger guy that created this.
Yeah, I heard good things about them. So
yeah,
I'm happy with the change.
And I just think that's why, everything's sort of sitting right now. People are sort of sitting and waiting to see what happens Tuesday, because you don't know who's going to be there, and things are going to be.
Yeah, and the same. My brother's sloppy. He has 2 condos too, so that's 4 votes. So we need to get that straight out tomorrow. Honestly, I'll go tomorrow morning.
And if Colleen's on the phone, talk to Felipe. He's good too.
Yeah, they treat me very nicely the couple of times.
I've had nothing but good.
Thank you.
Situations. So I can only say from personal experience as an owner that's what I'm telling you. My neighbor Frances Gallo is having the same problem. She's in Albany.
Instead of using your name there, I prefer to use your name at the hospital to get my vaccine. So.
Yeah, right. Well, I have a lot of people emailing me. I haven't had much luck.
I know.
Thank you all for coming, and I'm sorry I try to keep things on the level, and I didn't want it to turn into a punching match, but anyway, thank you and thanks for coming, and that's it. I appreciate you, and you can vote for me if you want. I would love to help you. Bye guys. I'm leaving the meeting.